3D websites used to be something only professional developers could pull off. Lots of code, complex motion, and heavy rendering. But with AI tools like Base44, that's starting to change. In this video, we're building a complete 3D style website from scratch. No templates, no coding, just prompts. The goal is to see how far AI can go in creating depth, motion, and interactivity that actually feels polished enough to go live. We'll go step by step, generating the layout, adding lighting and perspective, refining motion, and optimizing for all devices, until the entire thing looks and feels like a modern 3D experience built by hand. If you want to try it yourself, I've added the link to Base44 down below. Open it up and build alongside me. Let's see if AI can actually pull off a professional 3D website, start to finish. Building a 3D website from scratch can feel a bit like sculpting. You start with a rough shape and gradually refine it until it looks exactly how you imagined. That being said, we're gonna start by generating the first version of our 3D site, and this is where we lay down the foundation for everything else. Our first goal is to get Base44 to create a full-page layout that includes a navigation bar, hero section, main content area, and footer. Nothing fancy yet, just the bones of what we're building. I'll tell Base44 to build a modern 3D style website that includes a navigation bar, a hero section with animated visuals, a few content sections, and a footer. The layout should be clean, responsive, and visually engaging. Base44 generates the first version in just a few seconds. These sections are all there: navigation, hero, content, and footer, and everything looks organized. It's already a functioning layout with placeholder visuals and text. But you'll notice here that the spacing between elements looks uneven, and the hero section is not visually strong enough to really grab attention. It's a good start, but it needs work. So we're gonna improve this with a refinement prompt. Let's tell Base44. The layout feels too basic. Make it look more balanced with better alignment and improve visual flow between sections. Include a better 3D object to highlight. This second iteration is going to add more symmetry and improve the spacing between sections significantly. You'll see the hero area become larger and more defined, which really sets the stage for adding those 3D visuals later. Right now, the page structure is already technically correct, but it's still visually flat. There's not much excitement happening. The goal for the next step is going to be creating a real sense of depth and motion, which is where this whole concept really comes to life. We're getting there, we just need to push it further. We're moving into the visual stage now, and I want the site to actually start feeling three-dimensional. We need to add those 3D elements that make the page look like it has layers and space, not just flat sections stacked on top of each other. We'll do this through perspective and parallax effects. Here's the prompt we'll use. Add more 3D-inspired visuals to the main section. Include elements with perspective, shadows, and subtle motion that create a sense of depth. Base44 instantly layers in new visual elements. The hero section gains overlapping shapes and depth planes, and when we scroll, different layers will move slightly at different speeds. That's the parallax effect kicking in. It creates this really nice sense of movement and dimensionality. The visuals now give us a sense of depth, but they are not fully cohesive yet. Some elements overlap in awkward ways, and the shadows are inconsistent. It looks 3D, sure, but it's messy. So we'll try to improve that with another prompt. The 3D effects don't look cohesive. Simplify and align the visuals. I want a cleaner, more professional look with smoother depth transitions. That one hits perfectly. The shapes and shadows are now more unified, and the depth effects are more subtle and realistic instead of overwhelming. The page looks layered and immersive without feeling cluttered or chaotic. The site looks great, but it still feels static, like a polished image that doesn't react when you move through it. If you want to make it alive, it needs motion. Subtle animations, hover effects, and smooth transitions are what turn a clean layout into something that actually feels interactive. Here's what I tell Base44. Add smooth scrolling animations and hover effects. Each section should transition naturally when users move through the page. Base44 instantly adds motion across the site. As we scroll here, sections fade and slide gently into view, and buttons respond with small hover reactions. Images shift slightly with mouse movement, giving everything a more dynamic feel. The problem is, it's too much. The first version feels rushed. The animations snap in too quickly, making the page feel mechanical instead of smooth. So let's improve this using this prompt. Make the animation softer and more natural. I want smooth transitions that feel premium and visually consistent. This small adjustment makes a huge difference. The movement slows just enough to blend seamlessly, the fade-ins are smoother, and each transition flows naturally into the next. The site finally moves the way it looks: premium, balanced, and effortlessly fluid. Now, every 3D style website needs a focal point, something that immediately draws attention when the page loads. For this build, we will ask Base44 to create a floating 3D object right in the hero section that reacts slightly as you scroll. Let's tell it to include a central 3D style element or animated object that acts as the visual focus of the page. It should move slightly or rotate subtly to enhance the 3D experience. The design comes out looking interesting, but there's too much happening on screen. Several shapes competing for attention and breaking the clean, minimal look we're going for. To fix that, let's add a follow-up. The centerpiece feels too busy. Simplify the design and make the movement smoother and more subtle. That does the trick. The design settles into something cleaner and more elegant. The central shape rotates slowly with smooth motion, giving the hero section just enough depth to feel alive. The site already has motion and depth, but the visuals still don't feel grounded. Everything looks like it's floating in the same flat space. Now, I want to make the 3D illusion feel believable. That's why it needs proper lighting. Shadows, highlights, and contrasts are what give the layout a real sense of dimension and make each section stand out naturally. Alright, let's tell Base44 to add lighting and shadow effects that make the layout feel more dimensional. Include soft highlights and gentle contrasts that enhance the sense of realism. After that, Base44 introduces soft glows, subtle gradients, and light shadows that start to bring the page to life. Foreground elements are now separated more clearly from the background, and the visuals look layered in a believable way. But the lighting in the hero section ends up a bit too bright, slightly overexposed and distracting. Let's fix that using this follow-up prompt. Adjust the lighting balance. Make the key sections stand out while keeping the rest visually smooth and unified. That adjustment evens everything out. Light spreads more naturally across the layout, adding a real sense of depth and realism. Subtle highlights guide your eyes from the hero section down through each part of the page, creating a smooth visual flow. Now, every great website needs a clear moment where visitors know what to do next. That's why we definitely need a call to action section here. It's the part of a page that turns curiosity into engagement, so it has to stand out without breaking the overall flow of the design. Let's put this to life with this prompt. Add a call to action section that encourages users to interact, explore, or learn more. Include a clean button with a simple hover animation or glow effect. Base44 places the CTA right after the main content. It uses contrast and subtle motion to grab attention. The button gives off a faint glow when hovered over, creating a soft pulse that feels smooth and futuristic without being flashy. It fits perfectly with the 3D aesthetic of the rest of the site. Still, the section feels a little too understated. As per usual, a quick prompt for Base44 will do the work. Make the call to action area bolder and more noticeable. Improve spacing, color contrast, and alignment so it draws attention. After that tweak, the CTA becomes the perfect endpoint to the page. It is now centered and balanced against the surrounding visuals, a clean, modern anchor that gives users a clear next step while keeping the entire 3D theme consistent. The foundation's solid, the motion feels smooth, and the lighting adds depth. but the overall vibe still isn't there yet. The background and color palette are what set the tone for the entire site. They control how it feels at first glance, whether it's clean or modern. Getting this part right ties everything together. Here's what we'll tell Base44. Refine the color palette and background. Use gradient tones or soft motion effects that match the 3D theme, while keeping the overall aesthetic minimal and cohesive. Base44 enhances the layout with layered gradients and smooth transitions across the background. There's a subtle motion pattern that adds depth and flow, making the visuals feel more alive. Still, the balance isn't quite there yet. The mid-range tones blend too closely, causing sections to lose contrast. Let's send this follow. The background doesn't fit the layout yet. Add more depth or gradient layering to make it feel more dynamic without being distracting. This final pass pulls everything together. The gradients now move with just the right amount of dimension, creating an atmospheric 3D backdrop that complements the design perfectly. It is definitely modern, cohesive, and visually balanced, the kind of finish that gives the entire site its signature look. Before taking the site live, it's important to make sure everything looks and performs right across all devices. A 3D layout that looks great on the desktop doesn't always translate perfectly to tablets or phones, so this step is all about balance, proportion, and smooth performance. I'll tell Base44 to make sure the website looks perfect on all devices. Check element spacing, text alignment, and animation speed for desktop, tablet, and mobile. As Base44 runs its adjustments, the layout begins to adapt. The 3D visuals scale cleanly without breaking alignment, and animations slow down just enough to stay smooth on smaller screens. Text blocks reflow naturally, and buttons stay comfortably spaced for touch navigation. The whole design is now tighter, letting it finally understands how it should behave on different devices. But I want to refine that even further, so I'll add another instruction. The proportions still need work. Adjust margins, text size, and animation timing for a smoother overall feel. This last update doesn't just fix spacing, it polishes the experience. Transitions sync perfectly between sections, motion feels consistent across viewports, and nothing jitters or lags when scrolling. The site holds its 3D feel everywhere, but it's light and fast, smooth on desktop, crisp on mobile, and visually balanced from edge to edge. Everything feels right for me now, so it's time to take it live. We will publish the project directly to Base44, wherein a preview link is generated in just a few seconds. From there, the site runs through a full test across browsers and devices, checking load speed, visual consistency, and overall performance. The final version delivers exactly what we set out to build: smooth scrolling with natural easing, realistic lighting that adds real spatial depth, balanced proportions that hold up on every screen, and a consistent flow from top to bottom. Each section is nicely connected. Every motion is definitely intentional. One thing that stands out during this whole process is how much Base44 responds to feedback. Each refinement, no matter how small, improves something. The spacing tightens, the hierarchy sharpens, the balance feels cleaner. Even the heavier 3D animations stay smooth on mobile once the optimization kicks in. The finished site looks and performs like a premium 3D design showcase. Clean typography, perfect alignment, and a convincing 3D illusion that doesn't rely on flashy effects or heavy assets. It's light, fast, and visually refined from start to finish. Proof that with the right guidance, AI can build something that feels handcrafted. So there it is, a complete 3D website built from scratch inside Base44. No code, no shortcuts, just prompts and creativity. The results speak for themselves. Give it a try, and I'll see you in the next one.